Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the Commission. I'm very pleased and honored to have the opportunity to speak with you today and to respond to your questions. It truly is a solemn duty in which you are currently engaged, even more so as we meet so close to the site of the most devastating terrorist tragedy in our nation's history. No one in this country is immune to the grief and sorrow of that September day nearly 3 years ago. No one is more burdened by those memories than those whose loved ones passed away at the Pentagon, the World Trade Center, or aboard Flight 93. New Yorkers bear a disproportionate amount of our collective burden. As we heard this morning from Mayors Giuliani and Bloomberg, and others who witnessed the destruction firsthand. Like them, I witnessed terror's greatest tragedy firsthand on my own turf. I held public office when the brave passengers of Flight 93 made their heroic goodbyes in the skies above my home state of Pennsylvania, and then fell into our grateful embrace forever. As I said to the families of Pennsylvanians then and repeated many times since, we are thankful for the strength and resolve of the families of all 9/11 victims. You have been patient and persistent, and the work of this commission will no doubt bring further honor to your sacrifice and those of your loved ones, too soon gone, but never forgotten. In the days and weeks and months following September 11, 2001, our country came together as one to honor the victims by waving flags, donating blood, volunteering time, publicly expressing their patriotism like never before in our nation's history. And as time passed and the initial shock faded, the memories of that day continued to heat the passion of our country. 9/11 steeled our resolve to protect this country, to bring terrorists to justice, to secure our homeland, and take preventive measures so that a tragedy of this magnitude would never happen again. The thick emotions of September 11th were the vivid backdrop to the conversation I had with President Bush about moving to Washington to help him secure the country. His bold leadership in the days following the attack brought our country together like never before. And with his arm around New York's finest, he used a bullhorn to put terrorists on notice with his words, "Never again. Never again." His resolve and the resolve of this nation is unwavering. We share his sense of duty to this country and to the families, friends, and fellow citizens of everyone we lost. We know that we must make the full protection of our citizens the highest charge of our nation. So we went to work. We called on the best and brightest minds. We sought out the most advanced technologies. We began to build and bolster security throughout the country. We worked to reduce the vulnerabilities that were exploited on September 11th and think analytically about those that could be exploited in the future. We examined our critical infrastructure, our transportation systems, our borders, our ports, and of course, the skies overhead. Nothing was or is beyond our scope of analysis and review. Now, securing our homeland and protecting our citizens is a monumental task. We must guard thousands of miles of borders, shoreline, highways, railways, and waterways. This monumental task required a monumental federal effort, which is why President Bush and the Congress showed strong leadership, the right leadership, and worked together to create the Department of Homeland Security. This department, the combined efforts of nearly 180,000 people and 22 component agencies, provides a central point of command for the protection of our country and citizens and a common vision for preserving our freedoms and securing the homeland. The result? We are more secure today than yesterday, and we will be more secure tomorrow than we are today. We took the challenge head on, and you can see and feel the difference in ways both large and small. Before September 11th, ticket agents asked who packed a traveler's bags, but little else was done in the airport or the aircraft to provide security. Today, we have deployed newly trained screeners and thousands of federal air marshals. We've hardened cockpit doors on the aircraft, introduced state-of-the-art technologies, which from the curb to the cockpit have made airline travel safer. Before September 11th, visitors at our borders faced an inspection process with distinct and disparate purposes. Today, we have unified that process to present one face at the border and have deployed advanced technologies like the United States Visit System, the Student Exchange Program, special lanes for pre-cleared travelers and cargo that all welcome the free flow of trade and travelers but keep terrorists out. I'd like to mention the U.S. Visit System in particular. The U.S. Visit uses the smart technology of biometrics to speed the entry of foreign travelers. Since its deployment early January of this year, 4 million passengers have been processed, and more than 400 individuals have either been apprehended or prevented from entering the country based on information we were able to secure by having access to their photograph and fingerprints. The Student Exchange Visitor Information Program that we work very hard with the colleges and universities in our country. In collaboration with them last year, during the enrollment season of August and September, we allowed passage and welcomed to our college and university campuses nearly 300,000 young men and women. But we turned nearly 200 away at ports of entry. We don't know what their intentions are, but they were not registered to go to school. They were therefore not admitted. Before September 11th, we never looked in a container of cargo until it reached our shores, though nearly 20,000 containers arrive in our ports every single day. Now, as I speak and the Commission convenes, there are U.S. inspectors in Rotterdam and Singapore and Hong Kong and 14 other international ports of trade working alongside our allies to target and screen cargo. They add another layer of safety to protect world commerce. Before September 11th, our national stockpile of medications to protect Americans against a bioterrorist attack was drastically undersupplied. Today, we have stockpiled 1 billion doses of antibiotics and vaccines, including enough smallpox vaccine for every man, woman, and child in America. Before September 11th, employers and employees rarely took the time to prepare and exercise emergency plans. Now, there is a foundation on which the private sector can take important steps to improve their readiness and protect their employees. The American National Standards Institute and the National Fire Prevention Association have created voluntary readiness standards the Department of Homeland Security encourages businesses to adopt. It will be very much a part of our outreach campaign to the business community later on this year, Ready for Business. Before September 11th, as so many here understand, our first preventers and first responders lacked the financial resources and equipment they needed to respond together in a crisis. And yet today, we have allocated or awarded more than $8 billion for our state and local partners across the country. We have and will continue to develop new standards for interoperable communications equipment and protective gear. Right here in New York, nearly $430 million has been put to use for much-needed equipment and training, critical assets that can help folks on the front lines perform their duties quickly and safely at any emergency scene. And then lastly, before September 11th, agencies in the federal government saw very little need to share information and intelligence between themselves, let alone with state and local officials. And yet today, secure communications technologies and expanded clearances, along with the shared language of the Homeland Security Advisory System, create a powerful and constant two-way flow of threat information between the federal government and our partners at the state and local level and around the world. Now, there may be some who would be tempted to minimize these security enhancements. They would be wrong. They would be very wrong. In every way imaginable possible, we've made a real difference in securing our people and our homeland, and there are certainly more changes ahead. The successful integration of people and technology for a greater purpose has had a genuine result. Thanks to the new layered protections on air, land, and sea, our nation is better protected and more secure today than ever before. But of course, there's still plenty of work left to be done. In particular, we're making great progress in two areas of concern to this Commission and to all New Yorkers, as well as the citizens across the country. Today, I'd like to focus my remarks on these issues. First, building new intelligence and information sharing capabilities. And second, establishing true interoperability throughout the emergency preparedness community. Now, in order to accomplish these goals, we had to build bridges to one another, bridges that connected capabilities and people, ones that invited two-way channels of communication. We knew from the outset that our vast scope of protective measures had to build upon existing strengths, but more importantly, had to be reconstructed in a way that unified and facilitated accuracy and easy access for all of those. And literally, we have hundreds of thousands of men and women around this country, not just at the federal level, but at the state and local level, for all those involved in the hard work of securing this country every single day. That's exactly what we did. Through initiatives like the Terrorist Threat Integration Center and the U.S. Patriot Act, we began tearing down the walls that prevented policymakers from having the benefit of intelligence analysis that were based on all available information. Now we are building more integrated and coordinated Homeland Security, intelligence, and law enforcement communities that keep people informed with all the information they need to know. Sometimes it's not actionable information, but as we get information at the federal level that may be relevant to a community somewhere down the line, somewhere down the road, it's incumbent upon us to reach out and share that information with them. So they have a data bank. They have a base of information upon which we may call upon them to act in the future. We began dismantling roadblocks that once prevented communication between the federal government and our partners in states and cities and counties and towns across America, not to mention our international partners. Now we are replacing them with an active, multi-layered communication system between all levels of government all around the world that enhances cooperation and the sharing of information and resources. We began to eliminate the old obstacles that divided the tremendous capacities and capabilities and resolve of thousands of security professionals, from police officers to sheriffs and firefighters to EMTs. Now we are enhancing the abilities of first responders with interoperable standards for communications and equipment, so that those on the front lines of Homeland Security can do their jobs to the best of their abilities with the tools they need to succeed. Knowledge and information is the foundation of our effort to secure our borders and our country. The Department has made widespread coordination and information sharing the hallmark of our new approach to Homeland Security. And we have developed new tools for communication that reach horizontally across all federal departments and agencies, and then vertically to our partners at the state, local, territorial, and tribal levels. First, we interface with all components of the intelligence community, including the Terrorist Threat Integration Center, in order to synthesize, analyze, and apply information collected literally from thousands of sources, ranging from electronic surveillance to human reporting. Now, let me be very clear. The Department of Homeland Security is not specifically in the traditional intelligence collection business, although many of our component agencies collect significant amounts of information, some of which is relevant to our charge to prevent a terrorist attack. But we are definitely in the analysis and application business, in the solution business. We turn this information into action and implementation by sharing it with our partners at the state and local level and the private sector. This happens primarily under the umbrella of the Homeland Security Advisory System. This communication tool includes the color-coded threat condition, as well as several products such as our information bulletins and threat advisories that allow us to tailor specific information for specific recipients, whether it's a region, a sector of our economy, or for that matter, a specific site or location. This communication process represents the first ever centralized, integrated effort of its kind in the federal government, and a vast improvement over the fragmented system that existed before. It not only outlines threats, but also recommends specific steps that can be taken to heighten readiness or improve physical protections. This is about more than just dissemination of information. This is about achieving the right outcomes. We see communication as a two-way process. We collect information from the field as well and listen to what our partners need from us in order to help them do their jobs better. This means heightened awareness, better intelligence, wiser decisions, and improved coordination at every level. We have created several new two-way channels of communication, including the National Infrastructure Coordination Center, which is created to communicate with the private sector, and the Homeland Security Information Network, created for use by government entities. The National Infrastructure Coordination Center provides a centralized mechanism for the private sector, industry representatives, individual companies, and the information sharing and analysis centers in different sectors of our economy to share and receive situational information about a threat, an event, or a crisis. Now, the Homeland Security Information Network is a real-time, internet-based collaboration system that allows multiple jurisdictions, disciplines, and emergency operations centers to receive and share the same intelligence and the same tactical information so that those who need to act on information have the same overall situational awareness. This year, we've expanded this information network to include senior decision makers such as governors, Homeland Security advisors, and the emergency operations centers in all 50 states, territories, and major urban areas. And by the end of the summer, we will have achieved real-time nationwide connectivity. Pure and simple, more information, more integration, better coordination. Both of these important communication networks support the Homeland Security Operations Center, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week nerve center that enables the department to monitor activity across the country. It's important to note, these are tools of prevention, tools designed to stop an attack before it ever takes place. Now, achieving this kind of coordination throughout the first responder community is one of the greatest challenges facing our country. So many people here today know that part of the tragedy of September 11th was that equipment didn't work across jurisdictions and disciplines. We've learned that fire department radios couldn't transmit to police department radios. Brave firefighters rushing in from other cities and even neighborhoods were in some cases unable to assist because the couplings that attach hoses to hydrants simply wouldn't fit. They weren't compatible. This problem has to be fixed, and there is both an immediate as well as a long-term solution. There are immediate steps the department can take in the short term while we focus everyone's attention on a long-term integrated solution to overall interoperability. Already the department has identified technical specifications for a baseline incident interoperable communication system that would allow first responders to communicate with each other during a crisis regardless of the frequency or the mode of communication. Quite simply, ladies and gentlemen, it's a technology translator. You have multiple means of communication during an incident. You may have landlines from traditional phones, wireless telephones, radios. And the technical specifications, which the private sector has responded to, creates a translator where all the information from these multiple sources come in. It is basically synthesized and sent back out using the same forms of communication. But that's just a temporary solution. That's just a temporary solution to an incident management response. We need, as a country, a longer-term solution that will, frankly, not only help us respond to terrorist incidents, but, frankly, probably make us safer and healthier in the long run, regardless of whether we respond to a terrorist attack, a criminal event, a natural disaster. Again, making the right investments in response to the terrorist attack will also make us a stronger, better, and safer country in the future. So we've recently announced the first comprehensive statement of requirements for communications throughout the first responder community. It's very interesting. We talked with first responders around the country. We talked to elected officials. We basically understood what the technical requirements are. And we have now a statement of requirements basically to build a national capacity. And we've already had 5,000 hits, dozens if not hundreds of companies taking the technical requirements down from the internet saying, we think we can help you find a long-term solution to interoperability. We've also taken upon ourselves to set the first level of standards regarding personal protective equipment to protect first responders against chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear incidents. Remind ourselves we have to help to protect the first responders so they can be in a position to help protect and save their fellow citizens. All of the department's efforts in this area will be coordinated by a new Office of Interoperability and Compatibility. And this office will focus not just on interoperable communications, but on all the gear and equipment that will be used by multiple jurisdictions, firefighters and police officers from different neighborhoods as they join together to respond to a major event. Again, perhaps a terrorist event, could be a major crime scene, could be a natural disaster. These immediate steps at the federal level will begin to build a foundation for longer-term efforts in a truly national solution. Now, this second track will require leadership at the state and local level. In other words, my colleagues in public service have to share the same resolve not to let an incompatible radio frequency or a too small, too large piece of safety equipment impede the ability of brave men and women to save the lives of citizens, as well as their own. A truly nationwide interoperable system demands commitment from leaders at all levels, and we are already beginning to see a commitment to this very important principle. This is really an example of people coming together around a shared idea, a shared national purpose, the shared responsibility of protecting our homeland. Homeland Security is really not about a department. It's really not about a federal agency. Homeland Security is about the integration of a country. Everyone pledged to freedom's cause, everyone its protector, and everyone its ultimate beneficiary. It's about the integration of people and technology to make us safer, smarter, and better protected. It's about the integration of our national efforts, not one department or one organization, but everyone tasked with our nation's protection. Every day, workers, 180,000 strong in the federal government, but I will tell you there are hundreds of thousands at the state and local government as well. Every day we work to make America more secure. Every day the memories of September 11th inspire us to live our vision, a vision of preserving our freedoms, protecting America, enjoying our liberties, and securing the homeland. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.